What's up, everybody? Hey, Dana, how's it going? Welcome to the DGAB podcast. Waiting on our official host, Dustin Caps. As soon as he comes in, I'll get him on. We got a really good episode for you guys today. Hope you guys are having an awesome weekend. Just getting all the invites sent out here. Hey, Steph, how you doing? Welcome in. Hope you're having an awesome Saturday. Get my mirror turned off here. There we go. Hey, Wayne, how's it going, buddy? Stephanie, how's your bowling been, ma'am? Hope everybody's having an awesome weekend. I was really busy in the shop today. Dana, thank you for the like. I do appreciate it. Weekend flying by. It works for me. I'm done. I'm off work now, so we are good. Just see if we got waiting on Dustin to come in here to the live and get him hooked on. Curtis is going to be joining us a little bit later on. He is still at work right now. His relief did not realize he was supposed to be there at 4. And speaking of Dustin, we're going to get him in here right now. Send him an invite. What's up, Kyle? Welcome in. Appreciate you guys joining us. Like I said, we got us a really good episode tonight. Mr. Caps is going to take the lead. Speaking of, look at this handsome devil with the new beard cut and everything.
What's up, buddy?
What's going on, man?
Oh, making it happen.
Yeah, look at you. You look so neat and organized, man.
Dude, this feels so much better.
That's good, dude. Kyle, I'm only 5 pins behind you, okay? But I'm gonna take you at greatest middleman ever as a compliment. Thank you. I saw where she added me, Dustin, and
She's on here. Yeah,
I got her added back as a follower, and I follow her back. But did you tell her we were gonna? I'm trying to see if I can.
Pictures on the page. Ruth, are you in the live with us?
Well, I am sending her a share. Yep, I just sent that one to her.
Nice.
So while we're waiting on her, and then when I see her come in, I'll get her added. I just want to take this time. So just to let you guys know, any bowling related questions, please send them to me in a message. This is a PSA episode where Dustin is going to be taking the lead on this. And I'm going to sit back and be educated about the subject we're going to be talking about. So,
and to add to that, to help you, Michael, we will be starting without Curtis. You may have said that before I came on, but you'll be educated as well as asking us some questions because, like I said before, too, Ruth and I are so used to doing this, and it's such a daily part of my life, it'd be interesting for me to get some questions from an outside perspective. So for sure, ask away. But yeah, we've got a lot to tell you.
Yeah. While we're waiting on her.
Poor Curtis got stuck at work. He's waiting on Ronnie.
Yep. Ronnie thought he was supposed to be there at 5 instead of 4. So this is where we're at.
It happens.
Mm-hmm.
So how's everybody doing today while we're getting this show moving?
We got Brianna in the chat, and I'm here to let everybody know that we're going to be having Calling All Bowlers episode 19 with her here soon. Putting that episode together. That's the one I was telling you about, Dustin. That's going to cover the good state of Pennsylvania.
Yeah.
Well, there's your question, Dustin. Why don't you answer Miss Stephanie right there? It says, I'm out of touch. What are we talking about today?
That is a great question. And we are going to be talking about romance scams today, actually.
why don't you tell the crowd why we are doing this, Dustin? Since this is something that has happened to you quite frequently, based on the stories you have told Curtis and myself.
Great question. Thank you. We're doing it now because it's starting affecting people around the center, people that I work with. This started when I was in recruiting, probably 2014. So I've been dealing with it basically since then. Scammers follow me wherever I go. Like when I did comedy at Patty's, they would call these women get in romance scams and they think that they're in a relationship with me. Because the scammers are mostly Nigerians, are using my pictures or other military guys and get in a relationship with this woman, and then they think that they're in a relationship with me, find out they're not, and then they find the real me. And then most of them, I tell, hey, I'm sorry, it wasn't me. You're not picking me and the kids up from the airport tomorrow or whatever. And they have the natural human tendency of, oh man, I feel embarrassed, dumb, used, an idiot, which is normal. We've all felt that way, and now it's coming in all over the alley. Mike, you had your first fake profile a month or so ago.
Yeah.
They like to slide in, especially on Facebook, because a lot of people on here use that. So if I'll do a picture and it gets a lot of comments, a lot of engagement, well, they'll have an account just like mine, Dustin Wayne Caps, and then they will comment on those comments. Like they'll slide in the comments of my pictures and like, hey, beautiful, can I talk to you private? Like that happened to Tanya at the alley. And she was like, look here, F-Wad, I know Dustin, and I know he's not going to talk to me that way. What are you doing? So I had approached Mike about the idea, probably last year, just like, hey, if this ever comes up, it'd be great, and I'd love to do it. And it finally came about that it's like, all right, I think it's going to fit now. We can justify it because people around our universe are starting to get affected by it. So it's like, hey, let's bring Ruth on. Let us tell everybody about what's going on and really educate everyone, because it's a huge, huge racket, and there's hundreds of thousands of dollars every year taken from these women.
I don't know if you saw where Steph said this, but she says she gets Facebook requests for handsome doctors all the time.
Mm-hmm.
Kyle says, I'm glad I'm married. The world out there is crazy now.
It is, dude, for real. Like I mentioned it the other night when we were, I think on After Dark or something. Like if you just want to have any glimpse of what I mean, just type my name into the search on TikTok or Instagram. And that's just my name. I've been every ethnicity. I've had every job, I've had all types of different names, but a lot of them will just even use my regular name. And it's like, no, they don't try at all. But do we have Ruth in here? Can we get her on yet?
I sent her an invite. I haven't seen her enter the chat. She's got to enter the live here, and then I got to send her the invite.
Because right before I came on, she said that she was here, but I didn't see her in the live. I just checked the things.
Yeah, I don't see her with viewers yet. I got eight viewers in the chat right now, so
I think I'm gonna stay. I don't think it's gonna drop me. I'm gonna try to slide back over to my Facebook.
Yeah. Yep. Because it's got you on pause, my friend. No, it definitely is. I don't think I'd be Dave. It's y'all. I have not been in a relationship, an actual true relationship, since 2011. So yeah, no, it's a weird world out here, y'all. Is she near Dustin?
I asked her. I don't know. So this is the first time that we've worked on this. So we appreciate your patience trying to get this to happen. Normally, I'll do every Tuesday on Instagram. I go on with Ruth and we talk about stuff. What they do at ScamHaters it really is amazing. Because I didn't realize until Ruth pointed out to me a few years ago for one of our Christmas shows. They was like, well, no, you're a victim too. You guys, I'm not the only male that's being used, but they like to use military guys because then that allows them to say, oh, hey, I'm deployed and I need money and I can't chat with you. You know what I mean? So it's a great job. And oil rig workers as well, military and oil rig workers, because they have an excuse to deflect and not chat. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, maybe for the most part, I'm safe because I'm just a damn good average bowler. I'm not that sexy beast military guy like you are.
They'll use anything even like this. So who knows? Anybody could be.
Well,
while
we're waiting on her,
yeah,
like I said, a couple of feedback here. Like Steph just said that she's getting Facebook requests and what have you. But I just want to take this time, everybody that's coming in, welcome to Damn Good Average Bowler Podcast, episode 15. This is a special PSA public service announcement episode. Dustin, our host of the show, is going to be talking to us about romance scams and just scams in general. From his experiences in the military, he has had his name, pictures, what have you, off of social media. Has had multiple fake profiles, and I remember when that happened and stuff because I remember I telling him, I was like, which profile is yours? So
Do you remember me telling you that too when we first started working together?
mm-hmm.
And I was like, hey, this may sound weird right now, but I'm telling you that anybody that I work with is going to get the scammers in there just by following me around. So I'll be honest with you, it took longer than I thought it was going to. But this is what I was referring to.
Hey, she is on here now, Dustin. Let me get her invited.
Sweet. This is my homegirl, Ruth. She's awesome.
All right, it's all you.
And then you may have to click your camera on.
Give me a second here. Let me do this. Okay. Yeah, there we go. Okay, I sent the invite.
But again, I do
see me.
Not yet. Do you have a camera icon on there you can touch?
Yeah, I did, and it came on, and I've got a microphone that looks like it works.
Hang on one second.
Okay.
Yeah.
There's the invite, Dustin.
I can hear her. Are you hearing her too? We just can't see her. It looks good. We just don't have a visual on your face, Ruth.
Yeah.
There we go.
It was asking me if I wanted any silly filters, and I didn't realize it was serious.
You need no filters.
You.
Well, everyone, this is Ruth that we were talking about. Ruth, we've been just kind of chatting about the basics of the romance scam stuff.
Okay.
We're still waiting on Curtis. So I will just kind of give you a quick intro, and then you can kind of, if you can, tell us how you got started in the romance scams and kind of like just a quick, what led up to now.
Okay. So basically, romance scam, it's something that everybody assumes it's never going to come to them and they're never going to get involved in it. So this is why we really need to talk to everybody, because it can happen to you. Personally, my husband died in 2008, and after that, I set up a Facebook account. And, you go down and you tick everything, and I put widowed because I was, and it didn't take very long. And all of a sudden, I was very, very attractive to 4-star generals in the United States Army, which, considering I live in the northeast of England, was a little bit strange. Now, I will say with my background, I was a police dispatcher. So I was on the radio telling them where to go. And my husband was a police officer. So I'm not one that's easy. I don't take things for granted. So I got this idiot. I was very lucky. I got the worst scammer in Nigeria. But I got this idiot, and I talked to it for a while. And he did say to me, this guy did say to me, I've been looking for a new wife since my wife died, and I've decided it's going to be you. And I thought, well, very nice, but I've decided it's not going to be you. And it was just the whole way that they assumed every woman is going to be sat there, waiting for a man to come and get her. I looked around. I saw there was quite a bit online, but just not what I was looking for. I had noticed that different people's photographs were used time and again. And I thought to myself, well, I want to warn, if you get this picture, it's not going to be real. He's not going to be who he says he is. So one night I was just sat there quite fed up and thinking, it's got to be something I can do. So I started our first Facebook account, which was a bit daunting because You don't know whether anybody's going to ever look at it, you know. And so basically, the first two got reported away because I don't think scammers like us very much. But we went to the third one now. We've got 78,000 followers on this one. So, and we're verified now. So, you know, we are quite good. But, you know, a little concern like us has got 78,000 on Instagram. We've got 40,000 on YouTube. We've got 40,000 on Instagram. You know, people find us because anything that you do online, and whether it's looking at the damn good average baller or not, or anything else, you are going to have scammers that you might not be seeing, but they are looking for potential victims. And gentlemen, it's men and women they're looking for as well. And it could be anybody. Gone are the days when they did look for the little grey-haired old lady and they did look for the widow because they thought they were the best people to get. It was like that when I first started out. But then with the advent of Instagram, where on Facebook you tend to put widowed, you tend to put things that show your age. When it got to Instagram, that didn't happen as much. Now we're on to TikTok, and you get people of every description from everywhere on TikTok. And you can't say often anything about them or, you know, very much about them. They might have a picture of the cat, but they might have, you know, they'll go off the name. So basically, they do what I say, spray and pray. They will go onto a site, a platform, and they will just bang, 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 and they will just spray follower requests out everywhere and see who answers them. And if you answer them, then they will start with the, oh, they're so polite, they're so loving, absolutely, you know. It doesn't work on me. As Dustin knows, I am the least romantic person in the world. I am not the person to, you know.
Rifle with.
Well, I always get them. Hello, pretty. But yeah, so I want everybody to be aware that you might be looking at something so innocent. And then all of a sudden you'll get a message from somebody or a follow request from somebody. Oh, you know, everybody likes numbers, don't they? So, you know, they'll accept them. And then all of a sudden they'll slip into the DMs and it'll be, I'd like to get to know you better. So, all right, then let's go to WhatsApp, Zangi, Telegram, Signal, whichever is the scammer gang's app of choice. They all have a favorite. And so basically that's what I do and my team do all day and every day. We just give out this information. I hope people do pay attention to it because you will come across it. It's amazing how common it is once you know about it. Now, Dustin's been used for years. We've known him since he was clean shaven. I mean, that's how long ago it was. And he's been used, you know, for a lot of years. Now, the thing is, these scammers, they can actually, they're very patient because, you know, I said they spray and pray and they take people onto a WhatsApp or whatever. And then they become, hello, dear, hello, babe, hello, honey. Because they've got all the victims onto one app and they don't want to get the names mixed up. They're not going to call Ethel Sheila or Sheila Margaret, whatever. So they've got babe, honey, and that goes for male and female as well. They all get the same treatment. And they will groom a victim. Now, what they will do, they tend to, as they did, we'll take Dustin as the example, they tend to steal a lot of pictures. Sadly, they use his boys as well, which is really awful. But they'll get a lot of pictures and they'll keep sending the pictures, and it will be, you know, night and morning. Yeah. Good night, dear. Sleep well. Dream of me. You know. And then in the morning, they'll wake them up with good morning, did you sleep well, have a good day, etc. So they're always on at the victim, reminding them that they're there. And so they can pick up from the victim's attitude. You know, if they contacted me and I said, look, I've been talking to scammers before, don't you dare ask me for money because you're not going to get any, then they will take their time with that. So people come to us and say, he can't be a scammer because he hasn't asked for any money. Well, maybe you've told him you're not going to send any. Each scammer will have 80 to 100 women on his phone, literally. So they can afford to wait a little bit longer for, some of them, some ask for money straight away. This is all love words for money. This is all making people feel good. Now, if they are lucky enough to get a really nice person who is very trusting and very giving, the victim sort of feels that they've got to help out. They've got to help out their friend. And so they'll send a small amount of money at first, and then they will get more and more and more. And all this comes from maybe they were just putting a comment on your page saying, good night last night, or hello, gentlemen, how you doing? Whatever. It starts from something innocent. Then they take you off where they first met you. So you're going well away from the bowling, you're going well away from the military, you're going well away from anything.
Can I chime in on that?
Mm-hmm.
So that's a great point, and they do that with the script and stuff too. And I was mostly going to talk about that with families, but exactly what you're talking right now is they're starting isolation and separation of that person. They're starting to take that person away from everything that they're used to, their support system, their families even. That's what I was talking about. So it's just like a cult, anything like that. They want to get separation so they can control that person. I just wanted to emphasize that.
It's, and it works because they can do it in the nicest possible way. Don't tell your family about us yet, honey. I'll get there, and they'll love me by the time I get there. And so separate them. Separation is good because separate and conquer. So they become the life of the person. It's a long way from damn good average bowler where they first met, and it just goes on and on and on until it gets to the point where the victim realizes and they come to us. And I wish people would just let me put this sound off. What I would really like is if people would get a contact and then think, oh, that's a stranger. I mean, let's face it. If anybody had somebody come to their front door and knocked on the door and you went to the door, especially if you're a woman, maybe living on your own, and you went to the door and somebody was stood there and said, hello, pretty, I'd like to get to know you better. You'd absolutely freak. You'd bang the door and you'd run. But it does it online and people think, oh, he looks nice. I'll talk to him. And it is not. A stranger is a stranger wherever they come to you. Now, the worst part about a scam is it is the perfect crime. Because they're Dustin's face, they're Dustin's family. I'd love $1 for everybody that said to me, oh, I know all about him. Oh, do you? Yes, I know his 2 sons are called Michael and Clint. I know his mother's called Shirley. I know all that happened to him when he was in Afghanistan. Because the scammer has made, scammer's got a format, which is a script, basically. And so that script is put over in a way that the victim actually feels that that is Dustin's life. And it's the perfect crime. Because the scammer is sat usually in West Africa. We've got to say that because they are. It's just the way of the world. They are sat in West Africa. They're sat in a room full of people. It's not one person One scam, it's a room full of people. They call themselves, every little gang's called a hustle kingdom, and they're very tribal with their little hustle kingdoms. So you've got that group, because they might be scamming someone in Alabama, but they're also scamming somebody in Nepal, in England, in Germany, in Japan, wherever. These guys are working shifts so that they can cover everybody that they've actually got on their chat. And they don't want to miss anybody out. So, these guys are literally working shifts. It is that organized. And so everything that happens, the money that they ask for does not go direct to them. They will say to somebody, "Oh, honey, my bank account's frozen and I've got some money coming to me. Can I get it sent to your bank account? And could you send it on by Bitcoin to somebody else?" They will have somewhere to send it. So you then have the victim becoming a money mule. They're now involved in money laundering because they think they're doing the guy a favour. So they're hiding behind Dustin and everybody else's pictures. They're getting the money sent to somebody else. And nothing ties that particular scam with the guy sat in the hustle kingdom. So it really is the perfect crime.
And
The FBI can't do anything.
can I add on to the perfect crime with everything you just said? Plus, on the back end, like we've talked about, the victims, some of these women and men, whoever, but they've given thousands of dollars of their own money.
Yes.
So if you do that, you're not going to be proud of that fact. You're going to be, you talk to ladies, they're embarrassed, feel dumb, feel all these things. So it's like, who's really going to be wanting to jump for joy to say, "Hey, I was scammed for thousands of dollars of my own money. Hey, come help me. Look at me." No, nobody wants to. It's the perfect crime because you commit it. And then on the back end, a lot of these women will never even come forward because they don't want to.
They don't. They don't want to come forward because it's embarrassing. They feel bad about it. Now, I'm a big believer in the word victim. A victim, people say, "Oh, it's an awful word." It's not. It's a great word. A victim is somebody, you've had something bad done to you. You haven't done it to yourself. You're a victim of a crime, and that crime's a big one. We have people that send anything from $50 worth of iTunes cards to the proceeds of selling their house.
That's not an exaggeration.
No, it's not.
Hey, not to mean to interrupt y'all, but Curtis is on here now. You want to go ahead and get him on here too, Dustin?
Yeah, bring them on, man.
All right. I just sent the invite. There we go.
And if there's any questions so far too, add those in. Well, if they're relevant, kind of like Mike said earlier, then we'll get to them real time. But if not anything bowling, Mike will come back to. Curtis, what's up, buddy?
Hey, guys.
Hey. We are talking romance scams with our dear friend Ruth, and she's just kind of finished telling us how she got started and really the overall scheme of the romance scam. So that's where we're at right now.
Well, I was listening on my way home and everything, so I'm all caught up. I did have a question though, but y'all were just touching on it just a little bit. But the embarrassment and shame that someone might feel when this happens, when they come to you guys, have they already broken past that, or do you guys help them get over that too when they come to you?
Yeah, we have to help them get over it because, Curtis, I have spoken over the years to thousands and thousands of victims. I will say, I can probably say 100% of those victims, it doesn't take very long, and they will come out with, "I am so stupid. How can I have let this happen? I am so stupid." We've got to get over that because somebody has done something bad to them. We don't want them hating themselves. I mean, they've had something bad to them. They've lost money. They're emotionally involved and they hate themselves. And it's not their fault. It is pure manipulation. And they are manipulated, as Dustin knows. I mean, you've just finished work and you've been at work all day, but in a scam, it's amazing how many people said, "But he was texting me." for 8 hours a day. You can't do that if you really work, certainly not if you're in the military, you know. But of course, they want the bond, and they also want the victim not to stop and think. They want the victim to be so wrapped up in them that they can't wait for the next text. And they're making plans. Now, the thing is with this money that they get, it's always a loan, babe. I'll be with you next month. I'll be with you next week. Don't worry about it. As soon as I get there, I will give you all the money back. So people, you know, if I mean, I've seen people send their rent, their mortgage payments, because he's coming home next month before the next one's due, and he's going to pay it all back. And of course, these people are the biggest liars in Christendom. They really are. They can lie to get the money. And so they will get the money, and they know that, you know, they know they're leaving a victim high and dry, but they don't care. They just want the money. So we've
Here's a
got
question. Did Dustin come to you, or did you find Dustin?
Dustin. I can't remember. It's so many years ago. I think it was Big John.
I
Think
I
it
do.
was
I can
us.
answer this. I remember. So we had just, it's probably 2019, the end of 2019, we just gotten back from Afghanistan, and I was working on building my Instagram platform, you know, with my fitness and recruiting, all that stuff. Well, at the time, I had no idea of ScamHaters yet, and then I was being used and all that stuff. So well, I knew I was being used, but the fakes, I would report straight to Instagram. I'd just report, send straight to IG. And when you do that, it kind of like, it keeps a record of everything that you flagged and reported and squawked at and blah, blah, blah. So basically, this is how many of these scammers there are, and why you don't really want to piss them off or antagonize them. But just from me fighting back for myself and reporting those, they reported me as an imposter. So my Instagram account got disabled for
I remember.
myself.
Yes, I remember now. Yes.
So, and I was pissed, man, because I've been working at this, you know what I mean? And so it's gone, and I had to create another account, because you can't just call Instagram, you know what I mean? There's no 1-800 number. It's such a huge entity that I got another account, and I was working with Military Fresh. You remember them, Military Fresh, Army Fresh, and those guys. So I hit them up like, yo, this happened, and they are the ones that put me in touch with Ruth and ScamHaters. So I said, hey, this is what's been happening. I got disabled. You know, I'm upset of whatever, blah, blah. And Ruth was just like, cool, got it. Give us a couple weeks. You should be good. I'm not going to promise, but we should be able to get it back. Yeah. And I think within 2 weeks, you had it back. And
it was shorter than that. It was at the time, and I will explain this. At the time, we did have a human contact at Meta, and we have what's called a bulk scam reporting form, which we can put fake accounts in. It works for about 60-70% of them, not all of them. But we did have a human that we could say, you know, look, Dustin's lost his account. Can you get it back for him? You know, here's the accounts that need to go down that the form didn't take, and they would take them. And the year before last, in July, year before last, 23, we got an email to say, well, you can put everything in the form now, but we're not going to take any more emails from you. So we no longer have a human at Meta, which is, I hate. It's, I mean, really, the size of Meta, they could spare one person for us, and they can't even do that. We can still get quite a lot of fakes down, which we still do, but we don't have that contact with, you know, escalations that we used to. And I will always be against Meta for that. I'm not a fan.
I don't know of a lot of people that are a fan of Meta. I know I'm not one, and I know Dustin knows that I do most of my posting on here.
I think I'm on, I mean, we're on everywhere because we need to be. But personally, I really don't do a lot on, I don't do anything on Instagram other than ScamHaters United. And I will say, gentlemen, that my my project is called ScamHaters United, because when I set this first page up, Um, I a scam is a horrible thing. Everybody hates it, so that was easy. But I was watching television at the time, and you will have heard of Manchester United. I was watching soccer game. We call it football. You call it football, but you don't put the ball on your feet. You know, you run around with it in your hands. You know, that's just what you do. Um, and I was watching Manchester United, and I thought, yeah, you need a team to do this, and you need a team that's pulling together to do this. So that's was my sort of lofty aspiration when I named it ScamHaters United. And sure enough, we've got a good team now. But I wish we had Meta on the team.
You
I
have
did keep trying.
You have a fantastic team, and I just have to say this right here. I'll slide it in. That like the scammers, you were saying they work 24 hours around the clock, you know, conditioning with the scripts and everything. But I'll tell you what, Ruth, you and your team do as well. 24/7, like seriously, because now when I get the fake accounts or whatever, I'll send them straight to Scam Haters, whatever time it is. You guys know I can never sleep and I'm awake and stuff like that. But it does not matter what time it is. I will send a fake account to Scam Haters within 60 seconds. It's been reported. Thanks, Dustin. Boom, it's gone. That's like 99% of the time. So you have put together a fantastic group of people around you. I mean, that's just the truth. So
we have because we're everywhere. You know,
yeah.
you know, I'm in England, as you can tell. During the day, during my day on Instagram, we've got Joe. Early in the morning, we've got Greece, Romania, and Latvia. And then as it gets into the evening, we go into the people who are in the United States. We've got Sandy, and Sandy helps out on Instagram at night, and Sophie. So we've got just about 24/7 covered on there, which is great. You know, and the thing is, the girls that do the early morning, sometimes people get a little bit cross with them. Oh, you know, that's a little bit strange. But you know, the Greek, Latvian, and Romanian. If anybody can speak Greek, Latvian, and Romanian as good as they can speak English, well, let them do it. But they're so good; they are there. And you know, everybody gives their time freely. We don't get paid for this. This is a voluntary organization. We don't take money. We don't use money. Every platform is free. So we're just there. And once you know about scams and you know how they work, you know where they work from, you can't step away from it.
And you can't not see them, the fakes.
Hey,
No.
Dana in the chat is asking, would they have you put a small amount of money on a prepaid Visa card?
No, not at all. Not at all. If anybody mentions money to anybody, it's a fake. Because
she was asking if that's one of the ruses that they would ask. Would they ask, like, that's a way that they would try to get money through a scam?
yeah, they would. Because as Dustin and I have had the same conversation, haven't we, for years and years and years, and we've got to have it all the time. Basically, when you're military, you need no money. You don't need gift cards. You don't need money put on a prepaid Visa card. You don't need a Bitcoin. You don't need anything because everything's found. You know, we've got the situation where scammers will tell women they've been shot in the leg and they're sort of in the medical centre, but you know, the lady's got to send some money before we're going to treat his leg up. Basically, he's going to die. You know, anything like that. They don't put it like that, so they get the money. But it's exactly the same. They might be military. They might be an engineer, which is usually on an oil rig. Now, they basically choose these because how many people know what happens on an oil rig? How many people know what happens in the military? If you say something with some authority, and let's face it, everything they do is copy and paste. So it's tried and tested. If you say something with some authority, it sounds like you mean it. And so you can't leave him with his leg hanging off. You've got to send that money. And We have them where they'll start off with military. I need money for internet. I need money for calling home. All the time, don't we?
Yeah, and that's one I saw the question, Mike. I'll get to it when I'm done right here. That's a big reason that where I can help scam haters, right? Because I'll go on there and Ruth and I will talk a lot, but that's one of those where I can go on there and really help and say, no, they don't need anything for their gunshot wound from you. Active duty military members don't need anything from you. And then they'll use the farces too, like they lost their gun, which you're in the military, you don't have a gun, you have weapons. That's just regular verbiage. And if you lose your weapon anywhere, stateside or deployment, you don't want anybody to know that, let alone a chick that you're trying to court. You know what I mean? You don't. That's your ace if you lose your weapon. But they'll do that too. Like, I lost it. I need, however much money to pay for my weapon. Like, these things, that's absolute ridiculousness. If there's any other former military or anything in this chat, they know what I'm saying, because it's like, no, that's ridiculous. So that's how I can really help with scam haters. And Ruth's even referred to me as like her military advisor before, because it's like, no, military gets all of these things. They get this. We don't need this. We're not going to do this, blah, blah, blah. So
you see, I can say to somebody, the military don't need money for anything. The military don't pay for leave. The military don't, the fiance doesn't fill a form in. Now, I can sit and say that till I'm blue in the face. And they will come back to me and say, well, how do you know? How do you know? Well, he told me, basically. But if Dustin says it, they'll believe them, because it's from him. So it really does help. But basically, Dustin will often say to somebody as well, if you are stuck and you've run out of money, the last person that you're going to ask for money is the woman that you're trying to impress. So really, if anybody asks, there is no reason for a man in an oil rig, a contractor. I love the contractors, because they'll send them a document that says, I've got a 3-week contract to build a hospital for, they're going to pay me $15 million at the end of it. And this hospital gets up and you get the 15 million, and, lady thinks she's getting a rich man. And that's all to say that, well, I will get this money, honey, but I just need this now. Can you send it? And you've got this conditioning that we were talking about, and they get the money. They get them. They get it from the people that you wouldn't think. Basically, it depends how you've responded, to the scam, basically. So yeah, it's very, very difficult. Some people won't fall to the scam, and some people, they will just take their time until they get them. And I remember a very nice lady who 2 years ago came to us on Christmas Day, because yes, we work Christmas Day as well. And her scammer, her lover, had not asked for money for 12 months. And yet, on Christmas Day that day, after 12 months, he'd asked her to send a couple of $1,000. And she was heartbroken, because she wasted all that time. He hadn't turned up. And so, yeah, so it just depends. You cannot say all the scams are the same. Really, it's the length of time they're going to take to get to the money bit.
Ruth,
and they're very nice.
If you want to answer this one, and then I would like us to talk about, we'll answer Steph's question, and then if we could go over what fake accounts look like, and how to spot them, that type of stuff. But she asked, if we run across something that appears to be a scam, how can we report it? And then what are those going to look like?
Right. We can't do a lot on TikTok scams, but we can put them on we've got a page on, well, of course I've got a page on here. And we've got Instagram and everywhere else, so we can warn about scams. So TikTok ones, we haven't got anything to do, we haven't got anybody to report them to, anywhere to report them. If it's Instagram or Facebook, then we can have a go in our reporting form and we can try and get them closed. And we do all right. Basically, and I can say this hand on heart, if you get a friend or a follow request from a stranger, it will be a scam. Because they don't do it. I don't know any man who sits there thinking he's a bit bored, especially if you're in the middle of Syria. I think I'll go down here and, see if there's anybody to talk to. But they just can't go past this woman because she's so beautiful. He's going to talk to her. The approach from the scammer is different depending on where you are. If it's on Facebook, if they send you a direct message, it's going to go into other messages. So you've got to see it. So they'll try for a friend request first. And then, if you accept that, never accept it. They will go on from there. TikTok is different because TikTok's more ad hoc. People just accept anybody on TikTok. Again, I will go back to numbers. You look good if you've got thousands of followers on TikTok. Now I'm going to be a little bit personal here, ladies and gentlemen. I can say this. If I get somebody who's a 30-something-year-old fit Marine and he says hello beautiful, I know that he's not real. We have a little saying that people don't like. If he is hot and you are not, it's a scam. And I will say that.
It's the same exact as a 20-year-old blonde chick in a bikini slide in my DMs.
Yeah. If she is hot and you are not, it's a scam. It's better than the other one, Curtis. The other one we've got is, if you're a chunk and he's a hunk, it's a scam. So nobody likes that one, so we don't. Yeah, we do the hot and not. But be sensible, ladies. I do speak to some of my age, and they say, "Oh yes, but are you really saying I can't attract a man of 30?" Yes, I am. So
no hesitation.
Be honest with yourself. Is it likely? What you're going to do with him when you get him home? You've got this funky Marine who's going to come home to you. He'd probably kill you on your wedding night, but what are you going to do? Are you going to take him down to the old folks bingo with you? Think about it, because it's not going to work, is it? And it's not going to be. The romance that they send is really silly. It's really involved. It's really, I like walking along a moonlit beach hand in hand and things like that. It's not going to happen, ladies, is it? And gentlemen. I had a 72-year-old man, and he'd been married for 38 years, and he had a suitcase packed, and he kept it behind the bedroom door because he had a 28-year-old model, and he was just waiting for the model to give him the word, and he was going to move to the United States with the model. And I spoke to him and his wife. And because he thought he would tell his wife about this, because he was going to leave her for this model. And I talked to him and persuaded him that it was all not real. I did get something out of that I didn't want. He did give me some information about their sexy video nights that I didn't really need to know about.
So I'm actually curious about that, because I had a friend that was chatting with somebody, and then of course I knew immediately because it was a younger chick, and it actually said almost a quote, "What, you don't think I can pull that?" No, yeah. But whatever. And then talking on WhatsApp. But no, what I'm interested in, because something you just said we've never talked about, and I'm not trying to pry into the details, but he had a chat with her also, the scammer. So it's like, how does that work? Are they using somebody else, like they're paying somebody, hey, do a video chat and fool around with this person or something. Or if they do a video, because we talk about challenge and pass, doing the video stuff. But this is the second time now I've heard of one of them having a video. So how do they do that?
Well, the way that they do it, because they use a lot of porn models or, ordinary models. So they will do it where, you do something and send a video of it. They'll do something and send you a video
so
of it.
they're still just sending you pieces of stuff.
It's not live. Yeah, it is not live.
Okay. All right. That answers my question.
Yeah. And so nobody questions this. They're just having a damn good night. Nobody questions this. Now, I will say at this point, and this happens with a lot of scams, that, take your clothes off and it's used for blackmail.
Yeah.
No romance in this whatsoever. Once you stop paying, they want something to get some more money out of you. They want leverage. So they'll use that for blackmail. But again, if they do it in the, as the scam is going, then it gives the feeling of intimacy, really. Want to go back on how you would recognize a fake account?
Identify fakes, yes.
Now, again, TikTok is very different to everywhere else because TikTok is just random videos. So if you are on Facebook and Instagram, and I'm talking if it was me doing something, or Dustin, or anybody normal doing something on Instagram or Facebook, there's a little bit of structure to it. You put something on of the children, and great Auntie Bessie says, oh, they're growing up lovely, and Auntie Maud says something. There is interaction with personal pictures. Especially on Facebook, you will get nothing. You will just get pictures. Just thrown in every now and again. So it's very impersonal. Very much just the man or the woman, but very impersonal. There's nothing. Compare it to your own. And really, you will see the difference. Instagram's very much the same. On TikTok, I'm sorry, but if anybody sends you a follow request on TikTok, they're going to be fake. People don't do it.
Okay, I'd like to add in, because this is one that we talk about all the time on Tuesdays, the fake accounts, what they look like, that type of stuff. And then also a big one that just jumped out to me very early on was when they'll do like numerous photos on the same day, but as different posts, right? February 3rd, February 3rd, February 3rd, February 4th, February 4th, 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 4th. We don't do that. If you're going to do that, how do we do it? Hey, everybody, here's a photo dump. It's one post with 8 pictures that you can swipe through. You're not going to do a post here and then a post here and a post here on the same day. They get all these pictures and then they want to build the profile up. Because normally when we start, it's like, hey, here's my post today. Here's my post tomorrow. Here's my post in 2 days. They've got all these pictures now. They need to make their profile. So they post all these pictures on a timeline the same day. So you're going to see the whole profile built basically either over a few days or even a week or something. But there's numerous posts on one day. Like Ruth said, no real interaction underneath. And then the followers versus following. We've talked about that, boys. That's practically off. There's those things like that that don't look right. And then the more you start looking at the account, you're like, oh, yeah, that doesn't look right either. Well, why does their bio say this? How come they use those words? They're going to use wonky words, like Ruth's mentioned before. So there's all of these things, and just whatever your eye catches first. Again, with me, it was all those posts on one day. So look at that and be like, okay, well, what else on this? As guys, we've talked about, and I'm already teaching the boys, trust but verify.
Always. Right? Always.
I mean, you would think that should be common sense, and it may have been before, but we are in a day with zero common sense anymore. Yes.
I had a question. You said it's common sense. That led me to. So, is the ratio? No offense. Is it more older people that get scammed than younger people, or is it just across the board?
It's basically if you're breathing.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. We get people from, I would say, mid-30s onwards. It is still common that they'll target the elderly. and, widowed, they like that. I'll tell you why they like widowed, especially newly widowed, because normally they come into some money. And, you get used to being widowed. That's awful to say that, really. Sorry, Jeff. But you do. You get used to being widowed. But when you are first widowed, say in that first year, it's really weird. So if you get somebody that comes and starts to pay you some attention, then you like it. I will say, Curtis, we get an awful lot of married people because go back to the guy who'd been married 38 years. I spoke to him and his wife never looked at him for years. There's nothing there now. She said exactly the same thing. And you might have a woman who's in an abusive relationship and somebody comes because the scammer is very polite. He's very loving, very attentive. And she might be in an abusive relationship.
That's just
And
tragic to scam someone going through something like that to save your
yeah,
traumatized pets.
and if they confide in the scammer that they're going through this, the scammer loves that. They will play on that. I will treat you better than anybody's ever treated you in your life. And you can see why, the person goes to them. And it's the same when they scam men. I bet your wife's never looked at you. I bet your marriage is stale and all of this. And so if they can come between a man and a wife, then they become the victim's best friend. So they're putting that gap between them and their spouse. So that drives the victim closer to them. Now, this has all happened from picking somebody up on TikTok by just sending a follow request on TikTok. This has all happened on the chat app. It's amazing. The whole life, changes on a chat app. But that is how easily it happens. And the times when we've had somebody get as far as, well, honey, we'll buy a nice big house in wherever you are or somewhere else, I've already sold my house, babe, so I've got this money and I've seen this house, and they'll go on a real estate site and send them a house. So I've already sold my house and I've got my money. If you sell your house and then you send me the money that you've got, I'll put it with mine. We'll buy that house. Oh, and I wish that didn't happen often, but it does. They
Wow.
get people to, and men and women, they get people to that level.
How far have you seen these scams escalate? Has anybody ever gotten hurt over them or anything like that, like physically?
Suicides hurt. We get suicides, and that's very, very. It's very difficult to handle because we find we're having to handle it, and we're handling them. The families too. We had one where a very nice lady. We thought she was getting over it. She was doing okay. We thought she was doing okay, but she was just telling us she was. And she took her own life. And the family were all, sort of there. And her phone rang. And her son answered the phone, and it was the scammer. And the son said to the scammer, "You're a murderer because my mother is dead." And the scammer laughed.
That's them. That's a perfect example of every one of the scammers, though. To give you a realistic view of it, that's the scammers.
Yeah. They don't care. They've got plenty of others on the go. They do not, I can't tell you how much they do not care, but they don't. So we get people who've borrowed a lot of money and they can't pay it back, and they'll take their own life because they daren't tell anybody about it. They run themselves into a corner. They run themselves into debt, especially when you get, I had a lovely young girl who took her own life, but it was from Myanmar, which is Burma. And Burma don't know about anything that's outside. So a nice, handsome US Marine that was going to marry her and take her away, she thought this was wonderful. Victims tell scammers, And that's right, Joe. We've that Joe. Their victims tell scammers they're going to kill themselves, and the scammer tells them to do it. And we've seen that. We've seen that over and over again. And you know, this is what happens. You know the sextortion where they get the teenagers. This is what happens with them. And you know, they will say to the teenagers will say, look, I've paid you $200. I don't have any more money. You keep doing this, and I'm going to have to kill myself. And they will say, well, go on, then do it. And it's happened. And it's happened in the United States on 2 occasions. On those 2 occasions, Nigerians were extradited from there to the States and are now in US prisons for that. So it does get that far. And it's awful.
Also, too, like, just this isn't like to compare whatever, but just to let you know that it also goes on the other side of that coin with us. The guy, like, I've told y'all some of the stories, but I've had stalkers over this because 80% of them, when they contact you, they're like, hey, oh my gosh, feel so dumb, thanks for letting me know, blah blah blah. But there's that 15 to 20% that can't let go of it in their mind. They can't accept it. So I've had stalkers. I've had people at Patty's. They would come and stalk me at Patty's. I've had them drive 3 or 4 states away, come looking for me at the gym I used to work out in. Like, I can't place my locations anymore. And I mean, I've had to tell dudes that I live with, hey man, if there's just a lady walking around the neighborhood, maybe walking a dog, and just strikes up a conversation. Oh, hey, oh cool. How long have you lived here? Do you have any roommates? Oh, you do have a roommate. What's his name? Like, don't tell people shit about me, because there's that certain percent still that won't let go and they follow us. Now, not to say that like I'm scared necessarily of that, but you don't know what they're capable of. And then it changes your perspective, of course, when you have 2 kids with you. So it's like, you know what I mean? It's both sides. Of course, I don't have to worry about suicide. I'm not claiming that, but it's crazy, man. Ruth's aware of all of these. They'll pay for background checks on me. That's happened a couple of times. So they get my real information, my phone number and where I live. It's like they won't let go.
You know, if people just took that little bit of time right at the beginning, instead of jumping into it thinking, oh, he's nice, he's really polite, he's very charming, he must be fine. If people would stop right at the beginning and just do a few little checks. I mean, I found out about scams because I put in Google 4-star generals from the United States Army. That's all I put in. And it came back with romance scams using, I mean, bless him. The guy that they used with me was a German folk singer, so he didn't look like a 4-star general. But, you know, if people stopped at the beginning, and I think in life that we're quite suspicious. You know, we don't even walk across the street without looking, because you
I
might
look
get
both ways before I cross a one-way street these days.
yeah, you might get hit by a bus. I mean, you're going to make sure the bus isn't coming, aren't you?
Yeah.
So why, when you go online, as anything that comes into your phone, you believe absolutely, totally, to the point where your life is intertwined with what is coming in on your phone. If only people would start at the beginning and do a little bit of research, it'd save such a lot.
In what you were just mentioning there, it goes back to the manipulation and the script and the conditioning that they do with these people. So for another thing that they're so good at, Ruth, I'd like us to finish kind of our talk, how we do on the trust but verify, like I said before, right? But another thing that they're so good at, I've seen pictures, I think I was telling you this the other day, Curtis, you're like, what? Of like, they'll make ID cards, like military ID cards with my face on it. And of course, they'll change the rank, or they'll do something that's like official, because you'll be like, hey, can you just prove who you are? And they'll send a picture of an ID card. Yeah, babe, here's my ID card. Don't I look handsome, whatever, blah, blah, blah. Well, if you continue to press them beyond that, like, oh, that's a cool ID. But I mean, what we're saying and what she's saying is you can find it up front and prevent all that. The trust but verify, video chat with them and say, yeah, there's one of them right there. Yeah. So those
you were Brian Martinez Caps.
Yeah, there you go. But do a video chat with them, because again, if we come back to reality and how it is in the real world, right? Say that we've been chatting, you and I, Curtis, just because you're the one you're below me right now, so you're right in front of me. Say that we're chat, blah, blah, and then we're like, oh my gosh, hey, let's just have a video chat date type thing, or just a chat date and talk. We're going to get like the butterflies, right? And oh my gosh, it's exciting. And oh, hey, cool, there you are. There you go. We're finally chatting. Does that sound realistic to everyone, right? That's kind of how it is. Instead, what they are so good at that plays you right into their hand of the manipulation, because I've had it done to me, they deflect when you'll ask for proof. Well, hey, can we just have a video chat and I want to see you and let's interact. What Ruth and I call it's like we'll do a challenge and pass. Like, hey, Curtis, do me a favor. Hold up that many fingers on both hands. Just total that. Like, hold up 5 fingers.
Yeah.
No, a total of 5. Just a total 5. So it'd be like that.
Yeah.
Just something stupid. Hey, stand up, turn around. Hey, flip me the bird. Do something that they have to real-time mimic, not something that they can just grab a picture of and send you.
And and do it immediately. Because what they will do is they will get a laptop and they will play a video on a laptop. And then they will point their phone at it and press video, and it looks like it's a live effort at a video chat. Oh, but there's no sound.
Yeah.
There's no sound, I can't talk. And then they'll move it around a bit. Oh, it's bad reception. And what happens then? The victim thinks, oh, I was really looking forward to that, but I saw him move, so it was him.
Bad signal, yes. They have so many deflections. Bad signal, camera's broken. Oh, I dropped my phone, I broke the camera, I can't. Audio call. All of that type of crap. Sorry, Curtis, did you have another question?
I was gonna say, not to feed into like the shame and stupidity they might attach to themselves, but doesn't there have to be some sense of like you're suspending with reality to go along with this just a little bit?
They take control of you very quickly.
I would agree with you in you've got to want it. You've got to want to believe it. Because, as I say, if you're like me, the Queen could turn up at my front door, and I wouldn't believe it. She'd have to go away again. It depends the person that you've got, and yes, you want to buy into it, but has anybody never had a girlfriend who's not really been very nice, and maybe other people told you she wasn't, and it's like real life. Many people have had a relationship or a bad relationship. You can have had, again, controlling husband, a violent husband. You can have had a cheating wife, cheating girlfriend. I was friends with a couple, and she used to beat him up. She was the one on a regular basis. He did get his arm back. He stabbed her to death. But that was just a shock one morning to actually turn on the news, and there he was, arrested for murder. But but what I'm saying is, if you just saw these two people out, they just looked like a normal couple. Now, this was going on in the background. So everybody makes mistakes. Everybody makes bad judgments. And you've got so much attention. If you have got somebody that wakes you up in the morning with something really nice, who is texting you all day with really nice, and to go along with it, they are very, very charming and very polite. And that's the thing, you don't get really a lot of polite people. They might say things like, I'd like to send you a gift. Can I have your address, babe? And they'll send them a teddy bear, some flowers, a pizza, as a regular one. But again, it's all flattery, and it feels real. And I just think people are deceived. I don't blame victims. I realise the total control that a scammer does exert, and they put a lot of work into this. This is their 24 hours a day job, you know? And some people are susceptible to it, some people aren't. But yeah, they work very, very hard at it. I had I had a surgeon from Chicago who
I'm still
was,
here. Just figure something real quick. You can keep going. I'm still here.
I had a surgeon from Chicago who was a scam victim, and she was being scammed by a gang from Ghana. And you couldn't get much more high up than that. We've had television presenters and every people that you would not think. And it's just because they all get wrapped up in it. So I will never ever judge anybody for going into this because they've been manipulated into it. And as Joe said there, any gifts that you get from the scammer have been paid for by other victims. Quickly, if I can add at the end, identity theft is a big part of romance fraud because it's not just getting the money from you. They want a bit more than that. So if they can open accounts in your name, if they can open bank accounts they can use for money laundering, if they can open a AT&T account, Amazon account, they will do it. And they often do it very quickly because they'll say something like, how old are you, babe? Oh, I'm 92. Oh, really? When's your birthday? Oh, it's February the 32nd. Oh, really? There is your age and date, that's your date of birth.
So easy to get that information out of people.
Yeah. And then, of course, they want to send you a present. So my cat's going to visit. They want to send you a present. So, what's your address? And there is the basics.
And you just because you said that, the cat thing, like you could keep that going with, oh, that's such a gorgeous cat. Yeah, my dog just died. Well, what's your favorite pet ever that you've had in your life? There's another big security question. That type of stuff is so easy, and you'll give it away without having any idea that you are.
They'll say things like, what's your children's name? Because, or what's your grandkid's name? My passwords used to be, they're not now. My grandchildren's ages. I used to have, something like sort of Jarrett 19, Chris 14 sort of thing, until I realised that a scammer would ask you that sort of information. Oh yeah, I've got two grandkids. One's 19, one's 14. It's past her bedtime. She wants me. But she's a creature of habit, my cat. So they're very crafty. They're very, it's just attention. It's not pushing. It's not demanding. It is just, what do you eat today? They've got this thing about eating. Have you eaten? And, it's just, but very often, and I'll go right back to the beginning, they will spray and pray. And one of the first questions they will say is, what is your name and where are you from? So they haven't looked to see who you are. They haven't even looked at your name. What is your name and where are you from?
I've had that before, and my response was, everything you just asked is in my bio, or everything you just asked is there.
That's mine. I do say, sometimes if I want to play, I'm Jemima Puddle Duck, and I live in Timbuktu. I live in Timbuktu, but I used to live in Timbuktu. Yeah. And the amount of times where they'll say, "Oh, that's nice," because they're not listening to you. They're not listening to you at all. They see that you've answered, so their next part of the format will come in. They are doing some human social engineering to manipulate the victim. And it's very easy because they're being very attentive. And you are, if you like, attentive to the attention. So it's very, and don't you think that that's scammer that Honey and Babe are named, I'm sure none of you three gentlemen would call a woman babe at the end of every sentence.
No.
And yet a scammer
Maybe a different B
What?
word. Sorry, I couldn't help it. That one jumped out of there.
Yeah, you know, what are you doing today, babe? What have you eaten, babe? Oh, I'm sorry, babe. I'm going on patrol, babe. And you get that the victim will start to call them babe back. And I'm thinking, they'll say, oh, would you like to see our chat? Well, no, not really, but I will.
That becomes like their word back and forth. That syncs you to that person
Yeah.
with that word.
Yeah.
You're
That's part
both
of the
now
grooming
connected to
process.
babe.
That's part of the grooming process.
It is. And of course it's endearment. So they might not want to get Sheila mixed up with Margaret. They might not want to get, Curtis mixed up with Dustin. But Babe and Honey, you think, oh, that's rather sweet. It's rather nice. And it works.
I'm glad you brought up again the spray and pray, and I wanted to just kind of use this last point for your question a minute ago, Curtis, about having to dip out of reality to go be involved with it. It's the same as recruiting. In the military, as an Army recruiter, it's a numbers game, right? And we are doing the same thing, calling, emailing, texting, all of the lists, all the kids in high school, right? We are just kicking out all of those lines all over the place. The ones that get a hit, we talk to them, they're qualified, then it's like, hey, what's this guy doing? Maybe they'll join, blah, blah, blah. It's the same thing that the scammers are doing with all of their lines going out everywhere. And a lot of them aren't hit, but the ones that get a hit, like, hey, let's talk to her. Oh, yo, she's a widow too. She didn't have anybody around her. She's not going to ask anything. She's going to be easy to work. So then they focus on that. Hey, this one, she's going to be a long con, 12 to 14 months. So they're working on that. That's the same exact thing we did as a recruiter. Does that make sense, that comparison?
So you're
Yeah,
saying in
exactly.
the beginning, there's really no finesse. It's just I'm going to cast a big net,
Yeah.
and then whatever I catch, that's when I start
Yeah.
the.
And it works. The thing is, it works. And there was a very good news program was on in Australia, and they set a sting up, and they got the scammer, and the woman had set up, and she said, yes, I'll pay, but you've got to collect the money. I'll send it to somebody. You've got to collect it in person. So the police and the camera crew and everything were there. He turned up. It was a lot of money. And they seized his phone. And when they had a look on his phone, he had 83 live scams on the go. And the top of the list was this woman.
That's impressive too. I mean, not to be funny about it, but to compare
It
it,
is.
looking at like if I was recruiting and I was keeping up with 83 applicants, that's
Yeah.
amazing. You know what I mean?
Who has
Yeah.
the energy? Who has the energy?
They're making the money though, bro. They're making bank off this and they got the gold platinum grills. They got the Supreme shirts. They've got the Supreme purses. They're spending all that money that they're getting from these women on stupid flex stuff.
They're just living big, as they call it.
Yeah.
They're not doing anything sensible with it. Can you do anything sensible with stolen money? But it's a game. It's a big game to them. There are, right now, there will be hotels full. They like to get in hotels because it's free electricity, free Wi-Fi.
Yeah.
And, it's nice and comfortable for them. They'll get in there. They have brandy. They'll be smoking weed. They don't really take it that seriously because it's easy. But this lady that was on the top of the list, they showed the scammer her picture and asked who she was, and he didn't know. She was actually just number one. So to the victim, the person they're talking to is the center of their life and the center of their universe and is very important to them. But the scammer hasn't got a clue. It is just somebody else. It is just a client. They call them clients, which is, they don't like the word victim because it's just getting a bit too close to, Yahoo boys will stay in a group and manipulate. They've got to because, they are using AI now.
Who are they?
Not
Ruth, who are the Yahoo boys?
the Yahoo boys are Nigerian scammers. Goes back to when they started using Yahoo Mail. They used to do the Nigerian prints, and it was the Yahoo Mail. And so the Yahoo boys. If they come from Ghana, they are Sakawa boys. I believe that Sakawa is something a little bit to do with sort of black magic, because they do a little bit more voodoo stuff like that, whatever it's called. Yeah. But the Yahoo boys are Nigerian, and sadly, it is a way of life in that country. It is just what they do. They don't see anything wrong in it because they're not close enough to it. They just get the money.
Yeah.
They're just numbers.
Yeah.
They are numbers. And I will tell you, I will finish by telling you that there is a cybercrime department, section, whatever, in Nigeria, and it's called the EFCC. They are tasked with all the cybercrime that happens, and they will occasionally go out and they will arrest people. And they will come on Facebook and they'll say, we've arrested 14 in a hotel, they are going to court next week. And everybody will put on, yeah, that's great, get them in prison. So then if you follow it up on their website, because they don't admit to it on social media, if you follow it up on their website, they all go to court and they all get found guilty. And they all get 2 to 3 years in prison or a $200 fine. If you then go to the arrest and court records, which they have on that website, there hasn't been anybody gone to prison in the last 3 years. They have all taken the plea bargain and they've paid the fine. So,
Pay the fine with other people's money.
these scammers, they've got that in their back pocket.
Mm-hmm.
They're out the same day and back to doing the same thing.
I did just want to address one thing real quick, and then I'll have my closing note. If you got any questions, we'll kind of call this last call, shoot them into us. I think Steph was talking about it earlier, something that they'll talk to the scammers. I mentioned it earlier, but actually I'm glad. This was a couple years ago, I believe, Ruth. You had just done an ad or something, not ad, but you know what I mean, saying don't antagonize the scammers. And you all know me well enough to know that I'll run my mouth. I don't care. I'll run it to whoever I want when I want to run it. But I was glad that I saw that, and I would just share with you too. First off, just if you know what the scammer, block and report. Stop talking to them, period.
Yeah.
But if you are going to continue to talk to them, whether you think, oh, I'm getting more information from them. No, you're not. You're giving them more information. And I saw somebody else cleverly, I think maybe Joe, but somebody's like, no, you're giving them answers. You're giving them more answers. But
you're teaching them, because you've got to remember that they, in Nigeria, English is the official language, but they all speak their own language. So they've, anybody that's talking to them, you are teaching them. You might be teaching them about, I'm just going on school run to pick the kids up. I'm doing this. You're teaching them about what you do with your dog, with your cat, with your kids. You're teaching them better ways of talking. You're teaching them slang. And we see things coming in. They'll say, a scammer will get something wrong and say, sorry, my bad. Now they've got that from talking to somebody. But we get victims, very, very sad victims, who come to us and say, but he was good. He was really good. I mean, he knew all the right things to say, and he said them really, really well. I couldn't fault him. Well, how does anybody get good at anything? How do you get good at bowling? You bowl a lot. You bowl all the time. You are really into it. So you go, how you get good at knitting? You knit all the time. Anything.
But you're saying even in a tenth that they fail, if you speak with them enough, you're still giving them something. So
yes.
Yeah. You're giving them chat practice.
Yes.
You are telling them, you are improving them. So when we get these people on who say, but they were very good. How did they get very good? Because they had teachers. And the teachers are the ones that string them along for a little while, because I'm going to get some more information. No, give them silence. Think about it.
Yeah.
Think about their little faces on their little phones with nobody to talk to. That is much more effective.
I just thought of this as kind of a comparison for what we're talking about. So when you go into a store or an event or something like that, A lot of times, will a person up front ever say to you, "Hey, man, welcome in. Let me ask you, how'd you hear about us today? How'd you hear about us? Oh, I heard it on the radio, or I saw this, or my buddy told me about it." They're getting that data from you, the people coming in, to see, "Hey, how did you hear about us?" "Well, hey, buddy, how you in the top left? Where'd you hear about us?" "Okay, cool. So we know we got 2 hits from that ad. We'll spend more money in that in marketing." If you say to the scammer, "Well, I knew you were a scammer. Hey, okay, well, you know I'm a scammer. I'm sorry." They're going to lay a sob story on you, and they'll say, "How'd you know I was a scammer?" "Well, I knew because of blah, 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 blah." You're giving them that information. "Hey, how'd you know?" "Well, I knew because of blah, blah, blah." Well, they're going to go and take a look at that now and fix it. You are continuing to give them information, period, if you continue to talk to them.
Oh, and we get people who say things like, "Well, I'm from a military family, and I asked them a lot of military questions, and they didn't know the answers. So I said to them, well, look, if you were military, you would know this, this, and this." Oh, great. You've just given them a lot of questions, and they won't get that wrong next time.
Yeah.
So, give them silence. They hate silence. Silence is a superpower. Give them silence. Much better. I mean, I have a lady who I've spoken to for years and who will still talk to scammers and will still come and say to me, is this one a scammer? Is this one real? And then just last week, I got a message from a completely different name on her account. And I used to say to her, look, they'll hack you. One of these days, you will get your account hacked, and it's an old account. And sure enough, they did it. They did it this week. They never lose. They never get nothing. So give them nothing. Give them silence. And that's it.
And once you get used to that, it's much easier. I understand that it's difficult at first to let that go and block, because you want to vent. You want to be pissed off, and you want to take your frustration out on them. You're a bad person. I'm going to tell you you're a bad person. You want to do that. But block a few times, get used to that, and it's so much easier, and it's worth it. Please.
It is. Block. It is.
I mean,
it is, because they will talk you around. One of the awful things that they do is they use religion a lot. And, you don't want to turn anybody away who wants to pray with you. So just don't let them in, because they might manipulate you without you knowing. So just silence. That's it.
If you get a weird feeling inside, listen to it. Listen to it and pause in the conversation. You know what I mean? If something just feels weird and makes you, what? Turn your phone off if you need to. They're not in charge of your life if you miss the midnight text. You know what I mean? Give yourself time to step away and I do that all the time. When something doesn't feel right talking to somebody, wait, what? And then it takes me a while to work it out. I'm like, oh, that's what they were trying to do. Okay, now I understand what they're trying to do, because you've stepped away from it. You've listened to your own intuition, be like, something doesn't sound right. We were just talking about this. Now we're talking about this. When people, I hate deflecting, because that tells me that you are up to something. You don't want to talk about this anymore for some reason, and now you're taking it over here. That's an immediate sign that something's up. You know what I mean? So it's okay to step away and figure it out. The deflections are such a big indicator. They're going to try to make you feel like shit for questioning them. But I thought you loved me. Well, why don't you believe me? Oh, okay, you're right. I'm sorry. Because they don't want to lose that. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And they'll turn it back on the victim. The victim will, then beat themselves up thinking, oh, yeah, I've been really awful to him. And they win again.
Well, I think we're about wrapping up here. We've gone over a lot of good stuff. We're an hour and a half in already. I just want to reiterate, thank you everybody for joining and allowing Damn Good Average Bowler to bring the public service announcement of romance scams, and having Ruth from ScamHaters United join us. And the reason that we were doing this again is so you can identify and see things now. Because some of those people that are getting scammed, I'll get contacted a lot by like, hey, are you talking to so-and-so? It's the victim's niece or the victim's daughter or a younger family member of the victim reaching out and contacting me. Like, hey, my aunt thinks she's talking to you on some other dude. You know what I mean? So we want to give you these things now. So if you hear something or see something now, you're wise to it, because it happens every minute of every day. It's not going away. So it's like, you guys had no idea about this until I told you. And you're like, what? Yeah, it's a thing. What? Like, Curtis, you were just having some realizations the other day. It's like, yes, I wasn't exaggerating. That's the truth. What?
You see, you know,
Yeah.
they've seen Dustin on the bowling site, so they don't announce that they're there, but they will be looking, and they will be just sending out the odd, as many as they can, follow request, and they will pick people up. And so if you're aware of that, if you are aware of any stranger that's going to come into you, especially if they're nice, which sounds strange, but especially if they're nice, it's going to be fake. So don't bother.
So we're trying to educate and arm as many people as we can before they become victims. Because unfortunately, we don't get to educate and help people until they've been victims most of the time. You know what I mean? So if we can arm everybody with this stuff beforehand, maybe you're going to be able to help prevent somebody from getting too deep into a scam.
Well, I hope so. And if anybody knows anybody that's in a scam, on TikTok, we've got Joe, who is in the messages. I'll say on an evening, but it's our evening in the UK. But we've got the other ones, Instagram and Facebook, are there pretty much 24/7. Come talk to us. Please come and talk to us. You might be wrong. You really might be wrong. If I can throw in something very, very quickly, scammers have flooded every single dating site. So if you have met somebody in a dating site that's starting to get a bit weird, or you've just met somebody and you want to make sure before you take it any further, come to us. Because come to us, give us a little story about what they're telling you and a picture, and we will look that up for you. Now you can go to other people and they'll charge you money for it.
Yeah.
Or you can come to us, and we're damn good, and we're damn good superior scam people, and we will do it for you. And we've got a PIM ice, which is something that we pay for, and it's the best one, and we'll tell you. So do it from the beginning, not the end. Do it from the beginning. Anybody and everybody.
Because it's everywhere we go.
Oh, it is. It is. And Dustin's never aged in the last 10 years.
Even when I was clean shaven, they had me. I was 50 years old at one point. Somebody had me at like age 54. I was like, what?
Yes. Yes.
Terrible, man.
Yes, they do. Because what they do, they'll sort of pitch the age to whoever they're trying to scam. So they might be scamming somebody in the 70, but if he's 54 or 59 or whatever, but yeah, they.
You're good for 59.
It doesn't look a day over 57. I don't
feel great. So, but yeah, I appreciate it, guys. Thanks for letting us do this. Thanks everybody for joining in. I do appreciate it.
I learned a lot. This was very informative for me.
Mm-hmm. Thanks
for letting me come and talk about it. If talking was an Olympic sport, I'd win the gold medal for England. You got to shoot me once I start. Get me down. But it's very important, and people do not realise how important it is. There will be literally hundreds of thousands of people across the United States at this moment who are involved in scams, and you are looking at around $3 billion a year.
Wow.
Lost to romance scams.
That's insane.
So we're not talking, 5 million that you get from a bank heist. You're talking a few billion. No, that is going, and that's gone from people who've worked for it. So it's bigger than you know. So thank you very much, everybody. Yeah, so any victims can contact Scam Haters. We have verified Facebook and verified Instagram now.
Again, you guys are fantastic. I'll mention it again in case anybody didn't hear before that Scam Haters are amazing, and they are 24/7 on there. I send the fakes to them now, and within 60 seconds, it's hey, reported, thank you, boom, it's gone. That's every they're literally on 24 hours a day, and they are there to help you with anything you need. It's scammer related. I mean, reach out to them.
We'll answer your questions, and we'll also, as I say, with sort of looking at who you're talking to. So we have ways. We're used to it. I mean, most faces we can look at, and we know who they are anyway. But if we don't, we'll go on premise and we'll tell you. And it's better finding out at the start
Yes.
before it's got too far.
Yep.
And I'm talking to men and women there. Because in the military, they're using an awful lot of women, military, you know, to scam men now. So it is literally straight down the middle. Really, and men, and we really worse coming forward mostly than women are.
Yeah.
But yeah, and if you were being scammed by a beautiful young woman, it is still a guy sat in Nigeria. So, you know, she's not the sexy model that you think she is.
Yeah. Sad truth. But yeah, any last questions, guys? Anyone out there, Curtis or Mike? You guys can catch Ruth and I pretty much every Tuesday on Instagram, 5 p.m. Central Time, cutting it up, all things romance scam. And again, we're glad that y'all joined in, and hopefully, if we prevented even one person from being scammed with this chat, it was worth it. That's why we do it.
Yeah, scam aware. I've probably got more than you. So we've been doing this a very, very long time.
Yeah.
We don't need them. Thank you.
Like a while. So, all right.
12 years, 14 years, really. All in all, online and everything 12. So I don't think there's something we haven't come across.
And it's ever evolving too. Again, last thing that I'll say, and then we'll dip out of here, because you guys all know this already, but mostly we're talking about the romance scams out of Nigeria, but it's ramping up in every other country too, the United States included in that, to where there's more homegrown scammers, if you will. You guys know exactly what I'm talking about. And so it's picking up out there.
Sadly,
just be careful.
It is a very easy crime to do. And that's the beauty of it. It is a very easy crime to do because you are, you know, appealing to people's needs and wants.
Yeah.
And, you know.
And those are never
yeah. So if anybody has any questions that you want to come to us, you know, if you want to ask us in private, I mean, you know where to find us.
Yes,
so thank you very much, gentlemen.
You're welcome.
You're welcome, and thank you for all the information. Mike, tell us again, would you please, when the next Calling All Bowlers is?
Well, I haven't confirmed it yet, but it'll probably be March something.
Okay.
It'll be in March. We're going to
be a good month because we got the tournament then too.
Mm-hmm. Yep. We'll have the Parkway Memorial on Sunday, March 16th. And then that'll be our warm-up for the Derek Tate Memorial.
In May.
In May. Yes, sir.
It'll be a big one. Awesome. Well, thanks, everybody. Hey, make sure you check out, again, ScamHaters United. They're on TikTok. They're on Instagram, Facebook. And what's that? Yeah, everywhere. And Damn Good Average Bowler, DGAB boys, we're getting just about everywhere, too. Make sure you check us out.
And just for everybody to know, if you get messaged by a beaver, it's not me.
There's only one hairy beaver. I had to. I got one in. That's awesome.
You got your one.
Well, thank you, everybody.
Well, I will say good night because it's tomorrow here.
Yeah.
It is Sunday morning.
What is it, midnight there or 12?
It is 20 to 1.
Wow. Well, thank you for rocking with us, Ruth.
All right.
And I will see you. I'll talk to you before, but I'll see you next Tuesday for our usual.
Yes, ma'am. You know it.
Okay. Good night, everybody, and good night, gentlemen.
Good night. Right. Thank you. And boys, I will see y'all tomorrow.
All right. Y'all be good.
Thank you, everybody.
Thanks for joining us.